My name is Chet Sandhu, aka the King of Karachi. I smuggled roughly $50 million worth of illegal steroids from Pakistan into Europe. This is how crime works. There's about 1 million people in the UK that use steroids. It was just like a money-making machine for me. If you go to a doctor for it, they won't give you that, so you have to go illegally. So smuggling, bringing it in, that was the only option. I was bringing it in by large amounts because the need for it, the demand was massive. There are steroids in the UK that can be prescribed by a doctor, but they will give you a minute amount. But if you want to import, sell, do anything else with them, give them to other people, that's totally illegal. That comes in a conspiracy to supply drugs. Well, the first time I started to sell steroids was probably about 1994. I was working as door security in a bar in Newcastle. And then that's where I got to know people in the gym, people, the doorman, the security, they all want to be big. They were all taking steroids. And people wanted the proper source. They wanted the real deal. I thought, okay, this is what they want. And there's a niche in the market here because there was a lot of people that couldn't even get their hands on it. I had to go to the source, and that was to Karachi, because that was the address on the label of the box that I used to buy in England. The Karachi scale probably started from about 96, 97. I'm Indian, so I need a visa to go to Pakistan. We'd go there for a week, and we would source the drugs somehow, and we would bring them back. So we travelled there, booked into a hotel, but there's prostitutes were there, yeah, on the 8th floor, where we were staying. And I used to talk to them, and they said, what you need to do is go to this marketplace. But these people have links with Al-Qaeda, Taliban, the police. They're all paid off. They all get a bit of the money, so they're allowed to move drugs in them large amounts. So I went to the shop. There was just like a market stall shop. There was 2 guys outside with shotguns. And I thought, this is quite strange, this, a chemist, and they've got guns outside. So the boss called me in, told me to have a seat. And then he was asking me stuff, where am I from and this and that. So I explained to him what I wanted. He went, right, okay. Gave us a price, what was it, 30 grand? He says, I have the real deal for 30 pence an ampule, or I can give you snide, fake, for 10 pence an ampule. And they come exactly the same, they look exactly the same. I said, no. I said, I just want the real deal. I gave him the money. And what he did, he didn't even count it. He just tapped on the ceiling of the roof. One of them squares opened up and there was a kid up there. He gave him the money and he ran off. And that was that. And he says, he was called, he says, come here back in the morning. He'll be here for you at 11 o'clock. And bring 2 taxis, he said. And we went back and everything was there. Ready, just like he said. I only stuck with that one supplier the whole time. He backed me up, he helped me out, gave me some good links, and they even spoke to the chief of police for me as well. The steroids, they were all coming from registered factories. These factories are officially open. It's like Pfizer. He used to sell their products. The supplier worked with a few factories because he had every spectrum of pharmaceutical drugs that you can think of. The companies he was working with, Roche. Roche is a big firm. Roche was like a big supplier of pills to Pakistan. I did ask him, do you supply these steroids to anybody else in the UK on this level? And he said, no. He said, it's only you. The only people that were selling it were like some white guys. But I know white guys can't go to Karachi and do what I just did because firstly, they don't know their language and they wouldn't trust them and it just wouldn't work. So that's how I knew he wasn't really dealing on a high level with anybody else, from the UK anyway. Normally, steroids have a certain smell to them because I've smelled every steroid there is. They have that same odor. That's how I know always, yeah? I always smell it. Sometimes I've smelt it and it's been weak. So that, I would suggest, is just filled up with cooking oil. So fake products are getting moved. I just had the finished product at the end of the day, but I knew that was from a good source. So these steroids, they're made officially, hologrammed, packaging, how to take. They come with all the instructions inside, the side effects. It's like a full doctor prescription thing. It's like everything.
Have you ever seen a lab in the UK?
Yes, I've seen a backstreet garage lab. This guy, he had the oils. He was just getting them in these big container things. The quality of the steroid was rubbish. And he was putting it in the 10 mil multi-shot himself. He puts it in himself, seals it himself. And so this is where you can get bacteria, anything can go into these balls. And this is where people were getting abscesses. And other things were happening to them because it's not made in a clean environment. The quality of what my friend was selling and the quality of what I was bringing in, there were two extreme levels. Because the quality of what he was doing, it was very, very weak. And you don't know what's in it. When we got the steroids, they're all packed individually. They all came like a little box, like a matchbox. And there's one ampule in each one of these things. But how we had to bring them back, we had to get one of these boxes and put 6 ampules in each box. And so it was condensed by 6 vials in a small box. At first, we did this ourselves, attempted it by getting each bottle out and packing it. But there was 50,000 ampules, and this was like, it was taking us hours. So I spoke to my taxi driver about it. I went to his village where he was from. He got about 12 boys there, sat them all down in his house. So he got it all, the 50,000 ampules, packed up. And I paid him, I think, about £300. That was like a month's wage to get that all packed down. After that experience, I told the supplier that I had a problem with the packaging. And he says, okay, let me do it. I disguised them in vitamin B12 tubs, but he organised that on the second trip onwards. To smuggle the steroids back, they would just all be packed down. I think it was 23 to 24 kilo I was allowed to take back in one case. I thought, okay, let's just take it through the airport because it's not illegal here in Pakistan. So I'm thinking we'll bribe them. That was my initial thought. The first time going through airport security, that was nervous. The first security were there. And they said, okay, open up the cases. We opened them up. Some of them didn't even know what it was, you know, steroids. They were just looking at it going, okay, fine, what is it? But why have you got all this amount and there's too much of it as well? 3 suitcases full. I got through that bit because there was some adult magazines in the case, right? And one of the security, he picked it up. In the year 1996, in Pakistan, you can't get like adult magazines there. You can't get it, it's illegal. So we gave them the magazines and then they'll let us go through the first part of security. And then I had to go to the x-ray machine. They x-rayed it. And then they went, right, open it up. So the same process again. But with them again, I bought them off with the magazines. That was my first time round. The second time round, they knew who I was. I had to pay them off the first security ones, and then I had to pay the x-ray ones. I think I gave them, it was UK pound notes, £40 each on the security, 40 to £50. And then it was only on the third trip where the chief narcotics officer at Karachi airport approached me. He said, you just pay me £100 a suitcase and I will guide you through. So on that trip, when I went back, he met me at the airport and I just bypassed all security. All the x-ray machines, all this, he just told his people, his porters, get their bags and take them all the way through. The bags are on the flight. We change at Amsterdam. And the bags go from that plane onto another plane and then from Amsterdam to Newcastle. It's a 5 a.m. flight. There's no security there at Newcastle, customs, ever at that time. The people involved in the smuggling operation was like me and 2 mules I would take with me. I would just pay them £1,000, pay for all the holiday, just all the food, drinks, expenses. I pay that. So for them, they're just getting like a free trip away for a week. So that was a system I had, and I would change my mules as well. It would be people who I knew from my hometown, trusted people sort of thing, who could keep their mouth shut. Back then, there was a surplus amount of people who would be willing to do that because the jail for it in England was Class C, which is, I think, a maximum of 3 years. So the sentencing on that, it wasn't like cocaine or ecstasy. I walked through and there was nobody there. There was no airport security there. And I was thinking, wow, got through. After I bring in the steroids into the UK, then the marketing starts. I had dealers in Scotland, Manchester and Liverpool. And I would sell to them in bulk. They would buy off me 10,000 ampules at a time. And plus I sold steroids singly as well for the top value for £4 an ampule. I got the top price because people would come to me and just buy 10 at a time. Nobody else would take a cut of any of this because it was all done quite easily. If I moved it in bulk, in large amounts, it goes quite quickly. I would serve up like people I knew, my doorman friends, people at the gym, security, other gyms. They all got served up with my supply. It's quite open that sometimes I've seen in gyms where people have just gone into the changing room and they've just started injecting each other. I would always inject at home, but I have injected in the gym. I've even injected stood outside the door of a club as well. Security, just even there as well. Big gyms are complicit. Yes, they would really turn a blind eye to it, yeah, because they know these people, if they weren't taking steroids, they're not going to come and train. So it's hand in hand. You want these people in here because they're paying the monthly fees and they're using all this and they're paying them money, but they're using steroids at the same time. So if you stop them from using steroids or try and stop them from using steroids, they won't go to your gym. Yeah, and in smaller gyms, I've seen people, the owners, and they're quite open with it. I've seen them just talk out loud in front of people. I've got this, I've got that. This is available. How it used to work was I never used to ask the gym owners if they wanted the steroids. They used to approach me. They used to ask me because they knew I had a quality product. It was good and it was on there sound and reliable and based as well. Like the stock will always be there, but mainly they'll just let it go, just let it happen. As long as it's not directly in front of everybody, just do what you want. People that moved on from legal use to illegal use, I do know people who have approached their doctors and they've asked them for testosterone. And I think I remember one person, he got something, but it was only like 100 milligram. If there's a big seizure made, normally things can go dry in that area. Things can go dry and then the stock isn't there. And then people will, right, if they can't get the best stuff, they will get the stuff that's not that well made. But I was just doing it on a constant flow, so it never went dry. I did these runs. It lasted about a year and a half until it came on top. And I was doing it every 6 weeks, roughly. I was just thinking myself as I'm an extra person and I can take back, I can make off a bag 20 grand, 60 grand off 3 bags, it's about 20 grand a bag I'm making. So I wasn't gonna let that opportunity go down. Greedy I was in a way. The cost of my trip will be like this. There'll be 3 tickets bought, but they're about £350 each. The hotel, I would pay for 2 rooms, one for me, one for the mules. That wouldn't be much in Pakistan. That was only about, I think, £20, £30 a night. I used to give everybody drinks out. So you would spend money there as well, you would give them money, you would give out tips. I gave a lot of people tips as well, which I didn't need to do, but I did that just to keep people happy because I'm doing bad in their country. And the officers, yes, I used to pay them as well, £300 on them on each case. So that would be on top, about £2,500 for a 60 grand return. I've made millions and I've lost millions. I bought myself a few things, jewelry, clothing, cars I spent a lot of money on. I had a lot of nice cars where you buy cars, but I crashed a lot of cars as well. While the money's rolling in, it's all good fun. There's a lot of people want to jump on the train. But when the train stops, they all jump off the train, man, and they don't even come near you after that. They're all there for the ride, but once the money stops, the jail comes, and then that's when reality, it kicks in. The steroids I was bringing in at the time were testosterone, which was a mix of testosterone. So there was a testosterone decanate, propionate, cypionate. It's just a mixture of tests what last a different length of time. The main forms is tablet form, but they go through your liver and kidneys. The tablet form, people have seemed to have gone off the tablet form, but some people like to take a tablet form. You can still get the Anapolon, Anavar, which is a steroid what girls take, because it's the mildest steroid you can take and it has the least amount of side effects. In the ampule, you get different ones. They normally come in 1 mil. You can get 1 milliamps or 2 milliamps. It depends on the steroid. But you can buy a 10-shot mini one as well. Mini vials, yeah. You get 10 1 mil shots out of that. They just have a plastic stopper on. You put the needle through and you draw back. You get 10 in one of them. So that's how they're normally sold. There's some people that will abuse it. There's some people that could take about 20 injections a week. 3 injections a day, which is what I used to do. There was a time where, like, I was injecting that much, I needed new sort of injecting sites. I've injected my biceps before, my triceps, my chest even once, my thighs, my ass, anywhere where there's like a big muscle. If you're looking for new sites all the time, and then obviously you're abusing it. Steroid use, misuse, yes, it is a medical matter. Yes, I was addicted to steroids when I was taking them in my peak. I only used to be about 12 stone. 12 stone, I couldn't get past that no matter what I did, no matter how hard I trained. And then I went up to 17 and a half stone. From 12 to 17 and a half. And my bench press was 200 kilo. 200 kilo bench. There weren't many people in my town who could do that, who had that sort of power and strength that I had. And I think I was addicted to that. I was addicted to having that power and strength. And if I stopped taking the steroids, that power and strength is going to go away. The look of me is not going to be as good. It's not going to be as intimidating. It's not going to be, I will lessen. I will go lesser if I stop taking it. That's my belief. Yes, so an addiction, yes, because I was addicted to that and I wanted to stay that way. If you have enough on you, what they suspect you are supplying, and you are making money off this, you can go to jail, yeah, up to 14 years in the US. I was arrested in Spain, Alicante, in 1999. The amount I had, I think, was 250,000 pills and 50,000 ampules. That's what I had on me. We landed at Alicante airport, me and the 2 mules. I was stood on my own, the 2 mules were stood on their own. The baggage was going round and round. Our cases never came through. So then I knew something was up. And it was then when I knew, I think it was here. And then the Guardia Civil come round the corner with guns and they went, bam, Sandhu on the floor, handcuffed me. I was devastated. And I just looked over at the 2 mules that I bought and I just felt bad for them. I just saw instantly then, I seen it in their faces, like, bam, it just dropped. Me, I knew what I was doing, and they didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know that this was going to happen, that this could happen. I knew, you know, but it was just a sinking feeling. And then they took us away. They took us to Fontcalent in Alicante. It was just in the middle of mountains, nothing else around it. It's just like a jail amongst mountains. They took us in. It looked scary to me. We were just held there on remand for over 2 years. Our court date had not come because the police were trying to find out if I had money in Spain. They went, you're going to Moodloo 1. And they went, Sandhu, you're going to Moodloo 4. I went, why can't we stay together? They went, no, not you. Then you're going to 4. That was the top security wing. They put me there because at the time I was big. I was intimidating looking. They didn't really like me from what I was doing. So my cell was just like, it was really small, tiny. You could touch both sides of it if you put your arms out. The length, not that long. There was like a concrete slab for a bed. And on top of that, there was like a sponge. And then you're given a sheet to stick on top of that, to sleep on top of the concrete slab. And then my door is like, you have cages on it. It's got one door with bars, that locks. And then there's another door that locks because we are considered dangerous. And then some of us, we have to go handcuffed through the door. We have to put our hands in and then they take you out. I had fights with people. My hands were cut. At first, when I went in, I was on a proper downer. I got talking to this guy who could speak a little bit of English. He used to smoke heroin. So I started to smoke heroin as well when I first went in, just to get my mind out of where it was. I needed that escapism, and heroin took me out of there. There was only about 40 heads on my jail. There was 4 Germans there for kidnap. They had a bit of a gang. Russians were there, about 3 or 4 of them. The South Americans, they all stuck together. I didn't know the language. I was on the come down off the steroids. They were all leaving my body now. I was feeling angry myself. I was like getting smaller. I was on heroin. My mind was not good. There was fights, stabbings I've been involved in. 2, I was stabbed there twice. I stabbed somebody there. His cousin later stabbed me in the back. When heroin goes dry, when there's none on the wing, there's a lot of aggression there, people wanting drugs, and fights start. I just lost everything. I lost everything. I was married on the out. My wife found out about everything, what was going on, because I was in jail. So she goes, right, divorce. So she didn't want me. She goes, you're never going to see your kids again either. I had 3 children at a time, and I've never seen them as well since 1998. I had my chance and I blew it. How I feel about the mules now, I feel bad about the 2 that got caught with me because they went to jail as well. And I told them this would not happen, you know. I told them jail would not happen, but it did happen. I messed up. I got out of Spain 2002, and then I went back to jail 2003. So I was only out a year. I didn't really learn my lesson from my first jail experience. Simply because of the fact I had the wrong mentality about me. There was no rehabilitation in Spain. There was nobody, no counselling, no like talking to you. I didn't get anything. So I think that's why in my head, I was still in jail mode. I was still like talking to people and acting to people as if I was in jail. Because my head was still in there, and I was only out a year, and my head didn't really change. And then I was back in jail again. I stopped trafficking steroids. The simple fact, the police knew what I was doing. They knew how I was operating. They knew my links. Even though I was arrested in Spain, the British authorities, they knew of it as well. They were on my case, and now when I came out of jail, I got involved in heavier crime. I got involved with cocaine. I got involved with prostitution with these people. I was working with a firm, a gang in Gateshead in Newcastle. They were a heavy firm and they were controlling the whole area. So I gave the steroids a miss and I moved on to that, which was a mistake as well. I got 7 years for conspiracy to supply Class A, blackmail and controlling prostitution. The 7 years I was given, I served 4 years. This was in HMP Durham. My parole date was 3.5 years. It went over my parole because I didn't think I was going to get parole. But then there was a bit of jail overcrowding at the time, and they decided to let a few people out. And I was one of them who they let out early. The comparison between Spanish prisons and UK prisons is massive. There's no health and safety in Spanish prisons. There's no rehabilitation, and sentencing there is like mad. When I was told my body was of a 45-year-old at 28, it was a shock to the system. But to be honest with you, I couldn't stop. It was like I couldn't stop. I didn't want to go smaller. But what made me stop was the prison sentence. So it was after that it all sank in. The come down off the steroids, the come down off all the drugs. My head felt, right, okay, I was doing it wrong. This is a way to do it now. But it was jail and the fact that I couldn't get a hold of the steroids in Spain that made me stop. Otherwise, I don't think I would have stopped. I've had my tests done, my liver, my bones, my arthritis, all been checked, and now I'm back to normal. I was just like on this roller coaster of making money, importing, getting money, bam, bam, bam. And I forgot about everything else around me. Was it worth it? Well, no. Nothing, none of that is worth losing family and going to jail and losing your money. I do regret what I did, what I've lost. Steroids are more mainstream now. This is because it's more acceptable now. Social media influences you get off all these actors. All these actors are in good shape. They all look the part. Everybody wants to look the part now, men and women. But where do they get them from? You don't go to a doctor. You have to go to a legal supplier. So importation is not really a factor no more because things are just getting made here now. It's getting made in England. I believe there should be a steroid-like practitioner, and that's his job. He's got like a pharmacy where he sells steroids. You can go and you can buy and you can get advice and you can get help. The police could invest more money into it, put like a new agency involved, maybe like branch out of the drug enforcement agency, maybe to have like a separate agency what concentrates on the illegal. And I'm sure that you could find these people easily because I can find them easy enough. In the UK, steroids is not really a major police problem. They don't see it as a major drama. So the law enforcement, either they have to resources, get more money involved in this, trying to even like upgrade it to class B. But then I don't think that will stop anyone from taking it because people will still take it. So if you up it for it, make it class A even, why do you want to send people to jail if all they're trying to do is just like make themselves look a bit better? I don't think it's a criminal offence, personally. I now have a CBD company, Alpha CBD. That's been going well. And so I've been helping out a lot of people with that. I've wrote 2 books. King of Karachi I wrote, which was the first book, which was about the steroid dealing for Pakistan. And Self-Made, Dues Paid is my second book I wrote now. That's my life story from when I was like 3 years old. And it goes up until the time I left jail in Spain to 2002.
Hi, I'm a producer on How Crime Works. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe and comment below with topics you'd like us to cover.